You're listening to the Aaron Rand Podcast. Hear the show live weekdays 3 till 7 on CJAD 800.
Cathy Davidson is a college professor and co-director of Duke University's Ph.D. lab in digital knowledge, and on the line right now. Cathy, welcome back to the show, and we have a couple different things to cover here. So I thought we'd start with this whole idea of web literacy, and I think for a lot of people, they sort of recognize the fact that we have to spend more time developing web literacy in our educational system. Why is it so important?
Well, kids today have this amazing opportunity and responsibility. For the first time in history, anyone who has an idea can go to their computer and publish it to the world, to anyone else who has an internet connection. And we do a really poor job in education in trying to figure out what that means. How can we make education give kids that opportunity to the fullest, both in terms of future employment and ways of communicating with friends, family, in the workplace, in the world when they grow up, but also as a responsibility. What do we need to teach them about the dangers of that kind of life? So I think not only teaching them about the web, but how they can code, how they can be part of the web is great. And there's so many wonderful programs for kids that teach it in the most fanciful way, where you make stories and animations and fun things like that online, and you're learning code at the same time.
So, and how close are we to getting this done? I mean, people realize it's important. This is now the way of the world. You got to know your way around, the web. But how close are we to having the system change to incorporate these sorts of things?
We're doing a better job outside of school than in schools, but I think it's going to change. I think parents are going to start realizing it has to be the responsibility of every school to teach this. But I've been very involved. I'm on the board of directors of the Mozilla Foundation. This summer we had the Summer of Code all around the world. Kids could go to summer camps and summer events where they had code parties, and actually at whatever level they were at, had fun with other kids learning how to code and actually contribute to the web, make their own websites, contribute to other websites, but also learn the basic rules about security and privacy, copyright, infringement, all of those good things at the same time. It's the literacy we need to be teaching kids in the digital age.
It's interesting, too, because beyond people listening maybe to this and going, well, that's just, for nerds and who wants to learn how to write code, so many businesses these days begin with people who know how to kind of work their way around code and come up with things, anything from apps, which, for some have sold for millions of dollars, to full businesses taking into account their skills. It would seem this is something that should start.
We didn't teach math because we thought every kid was going to be a mathematician.
Right.
We didn't teach reading and writing because we thought every kid was going to grow up to be a novelist. Those are what helped us be literate and powerful in our world. The same is true now for the digital age, where learning some of those fundamentals of what it means, what is a website, what is the internet, how do we contribute, that gives you a real power to understand it better, to figure out how it serves your business or your family or your social life.
But do you get pushback from schools or for educational systems that say, this is just not broad enough, we're not ready to teach this yet?
Well, there's often pushbacks until they go and see programs like Scratch that the MIT Media Lab made for free, or Mozilla has programs called Hackasaurus and Popcorn and Thimble that are programs designed for kids. And when parents and teachers see that these programs actually allow kids to make stories online and make their characters move, to draw online, to communicate online, to make movies online, and they're learning a real skill that's a job skill that you build upon in the same way you build upon addition and then you go to multiplication. That's how you learn code, too. You build upon it. They get it very quickly. I think most people are just overstretched with all the other things they have to teach and don't really know how they're going to be able to learn this.
All right, I want to move from that, and when you talk about learning about the web and everything on the web, one of the things we've now found out, and I mentioned this at the beginning, is something called unemployedprofessors.com, and it's actually a Montreal-based website, which takes cheating to basically a whole new level. Cheating is nothing new. Plagiarism's been around forever, but obviously with the web, with the internet, it's kind of grown exponentially. I'm curious how you feel about this.
Well, two things. One, it's a great name. Unemployedprofessors.com is going to get anyone's attention. It's kind of like those 800 numbers to meet beautiful girls. I'm not sure those are really unemployed profession or beautiful girls at the other end that you're getting there. You don't know who's writing your paper. It may not be the most brilliant Harvard professor that's sitting around writing your paper for you. It may be somebody else spending, taking your money and giving you less than perfect and high quality. So that's one point. Yes, plagiarism has been around forever. It's easier now to take somebody else's words because we live in a culture where if you see something funny, what do? You photograph it, you put it up on YouTube. You don't worry about copyright. We're in a transitional moment where nobody really knows what's yours and what somebody else's. That's not really new. The idea of what plagiarism is changes radically from one culture to another and from one historical moment to another. And I think we're in a moment where we don't really know the limits of copyright. We have crazy things like in the publishing world. If you even use an epigraph from somebody, their descendant can say, you owe me 15 cents for quoting Papa Hemingway by saying, we're stronger at the broken places. 10 years ago, no one would have charged you for saying something like that. So it's happening in both directions at once.
You're making it seem like
that we're in the midst of a massive social change in how we think about copyright and what is ours or what isn't ours. And that trickles all the way down to the student buying a paper online.
So you're making it sound like it's not that big a deal. Is that basically how you feel?
Oh, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. We just haven't figured out what our rules are for this big deal. In other words, being able to honor your own work and understand what is or isn't the limit of plagiarism is very important. It breaks laws. It ruins your mentality. It hurts education. But we're in a transitional moment where we all have to think together about what that means. If I plagiarize from Wikipedia, I'm not plagiarizing from one person. There might be 1,100 people who contributed to an essay.
Yeah.
And none of their names are available. They've all been editing each other's work. It's a different idea about authorship, and we haven't yet created laws, rules, even ethics to deal with this new collaborative world we live in. We will. Every era does. Every country does. But we're not there yet.
Cathy Davidson.
Thinking it through.
Thank you, Cathy, from, of course, the Duke University Ph.D. Lab in Digital Knowledge. Thank you so much for your time. It's always nice talking to you.
Same here, anytime.
All the best.